The main event was won by Manon Fiorot. It was an incredible win for her. And I can also tell you, in addition to Cody Rhodes, I mean, Rick, we're fucking cooking right now, all right? We're cooking with gas. I almost broke the microphone. I'm sorry, Frank. I hope he's not here right now. Also, in addition to Cody Rhodes, on Wednesday in studio, we will also be joined by the pride of France, Manon Fiorot in studio. How about that?
We're on fire right now, baby. Nobody can touch us. Wow, as Frank walks in the room. Yeah, he didn't
hear? Okay, he didn't see it.
Good.
Still the bread, Frankie. Still the bread, Frankie. Do you hear me now, Frank?
I mean, please be careful with the equipment.
I'm just all fired up. I'm all fired up. Anyway, Manon Fiorot in studio on Wednesday, and Cody Rhodes in studio as well, among others. Shout out to Manon Fiorot for the big win. She's now the number one contender. The question is, though, does she wait or does she stay active? It was a cleaner situation if Aaron would have won, because then you probably do Aaron versus Rose. Now maybe you do Rose versus Macy Barbara. So we'll get some clarity on all that. She did not do a post-fight press conference because she had to go to the hospital for precautionary reasons, despite the fact that it was such a dominant, one-sided victory. In addition to that, we had Mr. Joaquin Buckley with the big win over Vicente Luque. Tremendous stuff. Did we ever get confirmation? Did I write something on his Instagram? Is that a real thing? Doesn't sound like me. Do you know this, Rick, as the social media guru?
I can't say I looked into it. I have no idea what that was in reference to.
I mean, I don't know. Is it possible? I don't know. It doesn't sound like something I would do, but...
Let's just say that details were a little bit sparse, right? It wasn't a very forthcoming kind of use of the examples. So, could be, but I don't know.
Chris Weidman defeated Bruno Silva, but it was a little bit controversial, to say the least. Who else looked good as a winner and of note on Saturday? Kyle Nelson with a solid win over Bill Algeo. Kyle and Connor were both in the building at the same time, so that was pretty cool. Chidi Njokuani had a nice win over Reese McKee. One judge had it for Reese McKee. That was a weird one, but that was a pretty, I thought, easy one to score. Nate Landwehr with the win over Jamal Emmers. What about Virna Jandiroba stopping Lupi Godinez's winning streak? That was impressive. Julio Arce had a nice win over Herbert Burns. Dennis Bazooka with a great win. And I believe he got a bonus for that over Connor Matthews. Ibo Aslan had a win as well. Jacob Malkoon. There were a lot of stoppages here. I think there were 8 or 9. And Cowlin Lochrain, I believe, is the way to pronounce his name. Or actually, I think I saw Pete C say it's Kalen. Kalen Lochran?
I think that's right. I think that's how it was announced in the page.
I think Pete C said it. First win for an Irishman not named Ian Machado Gary since Connor's win over Donald Cerrone in January of 2020. And then prior to that, I believe it was 2017. I saw Andy Stevenson say this. Like, that's a pretty incredible run. And unfortunately for the Irish, they've had great wins getting into the UFC, on the way into the UFC, but then on the back end, it just hasn't worked out, other than Ian and Connor. So those were the results as far as the UFC was concerned. PBC had a really good night on Amazon. What I loved so much about that card was it just flew by. It was great to hear Mauro Ranallo on the call again. Sebastian Fundora with the... You didn't really watch that, right, Rick? Because you were there with no reception, right?
Nope.
Nice. I know it's busy back there. Who, me? Yeah. Tim Tszyu lost to Sebastian Fundora in a fight that he took on short notice. What about Isaac Pitbull Cruz? He had a great win over Rolly Romero. And then on Sunday, we had the boxer card. Fabio Wardley and Fraser Clark fought to a draw, which was very entertaining. Ben Whitaker got a win, although I think the fight was a little bit tougher than he had expected, but it was a great scene over there at the O2. And I really think that if you're a combat sports fan right now, you're cooking. You're cooking with gas.
I think that even though it looked absolutely ridiculous, I think what ultimately played out is technically the correct call. The only in the position that the referee and the commission is in, there's only two outcomes, right? If they think that the eye poke was intentional, then disqualification. Chris Weidman loses. Bruno Silva wins. If they think it's accidental, you could have a point removed because this is not the first, right? He's not being responsible with his weapons. Or you can ultimately, the fight is over because of the referee was not able to step in and stop the action and remove a point. The fight gets finished. You ultimately have to, at that point, make a ruling. The in the cage ruling didn't make sense to me where now it's a TKO because that was not a TKO, right? But upon review, the fight was stopped at that point. You score the fight to that point, and Chris Weidman wins a decision. And ultimately, Chris Weidman had already won the first 2 rounds. So ultimately, regardless of what happens in the rest of the third, short of Bruno Silva recovering and knocking out Chris Weidman wins that fight. So it's not a great circumstance. The scenario kind of stinks, but ultimately, I guess what happened is the correct outcome. Unless you are somebody, and I'm certain there are people out there, including Bruno Silva, who would say Chris Weidman should have been disqualified. I would understand that position. I don't think that's the right outcome, but I do understand that position.
Disqualified, or there was a world where, I mean, we saw a point taken from Herbert Burns for 2 groin shots. There could be a point taken, and then Bruno Silva wins that round, and then it ends up being a draw.
But the problem is the fight continued, right? The action he turns away. The referee was not granting a stoppage, and now it makes it impossible to kind of have that be the outcome.
Right. And also, when I said dicey about the Chris Weidman KO, not just about him winning, but it was the fact that they came into the octagon afterward, and Bruce Buffer was like, "It's actually been changed to a decision." So like, with us having no service, I was looking at Rick. I was like, "So what happens for all those tickets for like people betting on Weidman by KO under 2.5, all that stuff?"
Yeah,
it was very interesting. A lot of fouls on Saturday. A lot of fouls.
Yeah,
I mean, the Ruzabayev was. I mean, watching that thing back in the arena, that was also an eye poke that ended up leading to the sequence that caused the knockout. A lot of groin shots on the prelims. What was the stat you said, Frank? Everyone that got hit in the nuts ended up winning by KO?
Winning by KO.
Wow.
And that's why you don't hit somebody in the nuts.
Yeah, I guess you just provoke them, right?
Probably for the best. The one thing that was wild about the Weidman situation was it looked like they went to replay and then just changed it from...
But all that was right.
You know what I mean? But like they like, does anyone
they did
care?
Not reverse
right.
one.
But does anyone care? They made the change, but it was such an inconsequential change.
I think it's significant to get that correct because again, in action, in the the elevator pitch, in the one sentence, all they've done is change from finish to decision. But the process of that is more important, which is okay. We are establishing that it was not a knockout that occurred, but what instead occurred is the fight was halted there, and we score that round as if the action to that point is going to be scored, and that is why he wins by decision. So ultimately, like, even though it's only slightly different and it requires some nuance, I think it's important to say, like, for Bruno Silva, he was not knocked out, nor did Chris Weidman score a knockout. So they are correcting the official record of sorts, but I will say, even though I agree with how, in a weird circumstance the outcome was, I would also be okay if they changed it to a no contest because ultimately, that fight could have gone a different direction. It does suck for Chris Weidman if something like that happens because he was up 2 rounds.
So that's the great point right there. That's the shame. We were all worried. Let's be honest. A lot of us were worried. He was an underdog. Bruno Silva gave Alex Pereira a run for his money. We were all kind of watching like this. Will he retire? Will he retire with a win? Will he retire with a loss? Was this the last one? Full circle.
He said to you explicitly he considered.
Atlantic City. Oh, what a
City
script.
Would be perfect.
Family there.
Atlantic City.
Everyone loves the All-American. You said it. He got the biggest pop. He's not even from Jersey, but he's considered, a Northeast guy. And he was fighting a great fight, all things considered, right? So that's the shame. The shame is, to me, Chris Weidman isn't a dirty fighter. Chris Weidman isn't someone with a history of doing this. You know, it was what it was, and ultimately the ref made the call and the officials made the call. But I kind of am bummed by the fact that the story of the first 2 rounds has now been completely overshadowed by like, fuck Chris Weidman, or fuck, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes,
what
I do know what you mean.
In the moment, Chris Weidman is celebrating because he thinks the monkey is off my back. He
Right,
thinks
he hadn't won in almost 4 years.
He's freaking high-fiving Hunter Campbell. He's like, fuck yeah, I am back. You know, how
Yes.
good must that have felt? You can't take that away from him. You can't take that. Now, ultimately, you have referees there, and I feel for Bruno Silva, and it's very clear with the replay what happened. I am not denying that. But I hate the fact that people are like, look how happy this cheater is, or look at him celebrate. Like, no, you really think Chris Weidman did that on purpose? Fuck, man. How many times have we seen eye pokes?
We've seen eye pokes. It is what it is.
It's a shitty situation. Maybe the answer is to just run it back.
I think that's the best answer. Run
Also,
it back.
in Chris Weidman's defense, like he was, and I know he doesn't know this going into the 3rd round, but he was up 2 rounds to none. It's not like he was down 2 rounds to none and he was getting whooped in the 3rd round, and this like saved him like from the brink of a comeback. Like he was winning that fight, and I mean the judges scored the 3rd round for him up until that point as well. So I don't know if the outcome was going to change too much. I mean, in my opinion, best case for Bruno is you get a point deduction for Chris Weidman. It goes to the scorecards and it gets called a draw if he wins that last round.
If I'm Bruno Silva, who I think has a legitimate reason to have a gripe and be upset,
Of course he does.
there's an argument to be made, hey, I could have knocked him out in the 3rd, because I don't think that that's an impossibility. I think there's a real chance that could have happened. Or to Connor's point, it could have been remove a point. Now it's an even fight if I can win the 3rd. He's the one that certainly I feel like is done wrongest, right, in this scenario, and should do whatever he can. These appeals never go anywhere if he does. I believe Guilherme spoke to him and said he's planning to file an appeal. They never go anywhere, unfortunately. He's the one who's done wrong. He's the one who I can understand. Anybody else, I mean, it's very clear. Chris Weidman was not trying to cheat. To Connor's point, he was winning the fight. Like, he was winning this fight. There's not an incentive for him to do that. There is an argument, though. The one thing I would say is, this wasn't the first eye poke of the fight, right? There's an argument to say, like, Bruno Silva didn't get a fair crack because of it hampering him. And so to that I say, run it back. Let's see it. Chris Weidman was winning that fight. Let's see it. He can win it again. And so can Bruno Silva.
And look, there's also a point to be made like, hey, referees need to be a little bit more strict when it comes to point deductions.
Absolutely.
Like I've said it before, and I say the same now. The warning should come in the locker room. The warning should come in the locker room. And I don't know how many times something has to happen for a point. And then sometimes a point gets taken away too early or too quickly. And there's no real like consistency.
There's no consistency.
You know what I mean? I kind of feel like in a 15-minute fight, 15 minutes is nothing in all intents and purposes. Like, that's the equivalent of, my math is horrible, a 5-round boxing match, right? Like, that's as low level as it gets. Like, it goes typically from 4 to 8 to 10 to 12, right? So we're talking about, like, as a 15-minute fight goes by like that, go in the locker room, say, hey, you can't grab the fence, you can't eye poke, you can't hit below the belt, you can't knee, and whatever the hell the variation of the rule is in that particular jurisdiction. And if you do it, I'm going to penalize you. So,
yeah. I mean, there was also like the Cheaty McKee scorecards, having 2 30-27s and then a 29-28 for Reese McKee.
Yeah.
I was dumbfounded by that. I mean, I thought that was poor. I mean, yeah, some of the refs.
Oh, that was a weird one. That was a horrible one.
Questionable on Saturday night.
Yeah, that was a horrible one.
And then Luque, that was another odd performance. Goes for the takedowns. Goes for the takedown. Buckley falls on top of him, and then just like that was it. Like, he was just no more effort put in. Just like let Buckley just rain it down on him.
I'm blanking on this one, but who was the one that shot for the takedown and got knocked out?
Oh, that was Andre Petrosky.
Yeah,
early on in the
Petrosky.
night. Yeah, he
right.
So
at first I thought
open.
At first I thought the same thing happened initially with Luque.
Yes, right. But like Petrosky, it looked like his whole equilibrium was just completely off, and he just like face planted and it was over.
That was crazy.
The Luque one looked like he was fully there and just like wasn't offering anything up. I don't know. From from being in the stands, like me and several people around me were like pretty perplexed at what was going on.
Yeah.
I was one of them. I had no idea.
See, so again, that's one of the things I was talking about earlier. If you're live, like you're completely lost. They used to do.
You're lost.
They used to do a thing that you can buy a headset. Do you remember?
Wow.
They used to do a thing where you could buy a headset and listen at the venue. I feel like that would be a huge seller.
Dude, the
probably do well,
Petrosky,
yeah.
the Petrosky thing, I was sitting right next to Rick when it happened, and like we were just like, what happened? Like, what happened? And like, obviously, they're not going to come on the PA and be like, oh, like he cut his head and like his equilibrium was messed up and he fell and that's why he got finished or whatever it ended up being. So yeah, you're just kind of sitting there sort of dumbfounded, and then they hit the music and the next fighters are walking. And you're like, all right, I guess we're just moving on. And you said get lost, like you don't have Twitter, you don't have any of that, and like you. A lot of the times, like you'll be blocked from the clock, so like you don't even know what's going on. You're obviously not getting stats or any commentary bias. It's definitely a different way to take it in.
What a time! Who was the star of the night?
Nate Landwehr has to be.
Really?
I mean, dude,
Fucking Nate.
I was hyped
What a
up for that
character.
one, and it was just so perfect because I told my friend, shout out to my guy Cliff, who is like, he enjoys UFC, but like he's not a diehard fan, so he didn't really know who Nate was. But I was just like, all right, this guy is either like gonna get knocked out and lose, or he's going to like take some big shots, fight through it, and come back and put on an insane fight and end up winning. And like when he first got dropped, my boy like stood up and like grabbed me, and I was just like, no, let him try and gather himself. And like, of course, he gathers himself, gets the knockout, gets on the mic. Like, yeah, I was just, I love that guy. I mean, he's nothing but entertainment.
I usually zig. This time I'm gonna zag. I think it was Manon Farrow. I think that
Interesting.
was her night.
Because a lot of people will say like,
She was buried. She was done. Like, oh, Erin Blanchfield's the next evolution. Like, all we heard
talking
was
about the, like,
Erin Blanchfield. Erin Blanchfield. This, she's coming to her backyard. This is gonna be the coronation, and she just dominated her. Like it didn't. There was no moment in that fight where I thought Erin Blanchfield. That's not true. That first guillotine, I definitely thought it was about to be a wrap.
And
After
then
that,
like they've showed like a slow-mo replay of like people are hypothesizing that maybe Fiorot even tapped, like as she was getting flipped over. People are watching in slow motion. That one, it looked tight from where we were. It looked like it was about to be over. But
what do you do if you're her?
you wait for the title shot.
You wait for the title shot.
So,
no point.
So there's a very good chance you're not fighting until 2025.
So be it.
Take it.
If I'm fighting for the flyweight title.
Give her at least the backup fighter. She'd make a few quid, right? As they say.
If they tell her that she has the title shot, then you wait. If she does not, then I mean, it's a tough
What is she
spot.
gonna do? Offer Rose rematch?
No.
Barber.
Maybe Barber. I mean, if you're
Macy
Macy
Barber on the
why,
show
why
on,
would you even
on
entertain?
Wednesday too.
Oh wow, we just gave away the whole lineup. Earlier, you're playing coy, you're doing this whole thing. Now you just gave away the whole show.
Let's just go right into it. Let's just call him up now.
I think you wait for the title shot. If you've been made assurance, if you've been given assurances, you wait for the title shot.
Gotta wait.
What more could she possibly prove, or who would she?
She's
would
7-0. She beat the boogeyman contender in Erin Blanchfield. Everyone said she's guaranteed to be the next champ. Yada yada.
She's got a big name in Rose on her resume.
Yeah, and Blanchfield now too.
I was watching the post show. Among the many things I watched on my drive home from Montreal, the MMA fighting post show, and I can't remember who it was that brought it up, so I apologize. It might have been Mike. It might have been Jed. It might have been Jose. Tracy Cortez versus Erin Blanchfield 2 is a great next move.
I think.
Sign me up for that.
Yeah, I think that's a great fight. That's perfect.
Yeah. I feel like that one probably gets to the mat. I mean, Blanchfield only going for 3 takedowns over 25 minutes was also perplexing.
Yeah.
It feels like after like the third round, you just be like, whatever we're doing right now ain't working.
By the way, I say all that to say, like, Erin Blanchfield is 24, 25.
Yeah, oh my gosh,
like,
of course.
This is
she'll be fine.
Nothing.
She'll
This
be
is
fine.
Nothing. She fought somebody who it looked like somebody who the game plan didn't go or the fight didn't go the way you're thinking, and the plan B was more of plan A. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe there was other circumstances, but that's what it looked like. You get further in your career, you face more of these moments of adversity, you find the plan B, and you start winning those fights instead of losing those fights. She's got plenty of time to do that. This was just a hiccup. And why, by the way, I think MMA is so much more interesting than boxing, because in boxing sometimes this is the end. Sometimes you don't get back there. In MMA, she's going to get back here numerous times.
Yeah.
Once she can kind of figure that system out. Once she can figure out what is the plan B. If the plan A doesn't work, she has the plan B, and then all of a sudden that skill set that she has is but like, to be honest, I came away being like, you know what? Her striking has come a decent way. Like, don't get me wrong. I had her blanked in that fight, but she was competent enough that I think if she's able to mix in those other elements and execute the things that she's able to, get more positions where she's able to try those submissions, and she's going to be great. She's going to be really good.
Some people are asking how the after party was, the Aaron Blanchfield, Bill Algeo after party. Were there any appearances, any drive-bys, any thing of that sort?
Who, me?
It was late when we were leaving. Unfortunately, both of them were unable to come out victorious. It was late. I didn't know, what the scene was going to be like. Needed to get back, go to sleep. Big drive the next morning.
I mean, I feel like I made my intentions very clear.
No, you were very. I'm
go to the fights.
By the way,
gamble.
I'm not.
Yeah, I actually pushed Rick. I was like, "Let's go, man! Like, come on, we gotta go show support." And Rick was like, "Nah, no way, man."
Table's calling me, baby.
Yeah.
By the way, we do have some breaking news.
Wow, more.
Yeah. 2 bits of breaking news. Number one. Okay. Yeah. Number one. This program's favorite feature film. Of course, I'm talking about the Roadhouse remake.
Oh, thank you. Wizard of Oz.
No, of course not.
Titanic.
According to our sources here, it has attracted over 50 million worldwide viewers over the first 2 weekends on Prime Video.
What are the sources?
The studio's biggest movie opening ever on the service. That would be Amazon Prime. Sources are my good friend Jeff, who works for Amazon PR.
Amazing. Some McGregor quote tweeted that.
Oh, listen? I've been locked in here. Okay,
Yeah.
Fights happening. There's been interviews.
I think he did it this morning, but I've been at least 3 of those. So
You've been at least what?
He watched it 3 times.
Those, yeah.
Oh wow.
I think we discussed whether this would happen. Like, will they release numbers? Won't they? And if it was a success, I think we thought, yeah, there's a chance. And here it was. It was a success.
Do you
I see
think
people
this,
poo-pooing it.
does this validate the move?
To streaming?
Yeah.
I don't know if it does that, because, right, you could argue, hey, if there was so much appetite for this, maybe they could have drawn more money in theaters, and that is ultimately more lucrative. But again, and this is why, there was a conflict between the studio and the director, maybe, drawing money at the box office is not the goal of the movie, and more they wanted those streaming numbers, subs, to get people in the ecosystem. And if you put it in theaters, they might have precluded some of that. I think there's enough evidence out there to say you can kind of do both. But it seems like Amazon, whatever it is, it seems like Amazon got what they needed out of it and accomplished their goal. So you have to think it was a success by any stretch, that they did what they needed to do with this film.
I enjoyed it.
It was great.
Yeah.
And I have some people saying, "Oh, I'll never trust your." I mean, I feel like we were pretty honest about everything. What about the fact that? The other breaking news. Did we do the? Yeah, we did the second one. It looks, as of right now. We keep the. It's WrestleMania week next week, of course. UFC 300 week. Okay, so we like to cover a lot of different things. We're very what should I say, eclectic over here. All right, we are very eclectic over here. And Monday, if you didn't like this week's programming lineup, we'll be joined by the real heavyweight champion of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the undisputed king, the one and only, the pride of Wigan. Yeah, Tommy Aspinall in studio, bringing in his real heavyweight championship. What about that, guys? We kick off WrestleMania week with Punk, the best in the world. We kick off 300 week with the best in the world, Tommy Aspinall in studio. What do you have to say now?
I have to ask real quick. He's going to behave himself?
No.
Nothing's going to get
John
thrown around.
Jones.
John Jones
on the hook.
Oh, yeah.
Where you at, John?
John Jones is going to face
Where you at, John?
Ariel, I'm outside the building.
Get your shit together. I'm waiting for you.
That's unbelievable.
Tom's a class individual in
Oh,
general.
man.
We're
I
gonna have a
expect
great
no
time.
funny business out of
No, it'll
I'm
be
going to have to
great.
break out the old hoodie.
What is that? Oh, the Tommy Aspinall hoodie, yes.
Oh, yeah.
And what about the fact that last week on the program we were talking about James Krause, and all of a sudden James Krause
Yes.
surfaces.
Wow. Surfaces.
Can you tell us about this, Rick? What happened with James Krause?
I don't know enough. Connor, maybe you?
I mean,
No,
you're the
it's
one who
always-
told me. You're the one who sent me the
I
Facebook
was
post.
just passing around the Facebook post. I don't know like anything beyond that.
I need the exact words. What was it? Yeah, I'm $5 million in debt. No, I don't lose a wink of sleep over it at night.
Is this really him?
I don't know.
See, I don't know. See, this is why you came to me. You're like, "What? Tell me more." I don't know more.
I just have
All
a
I've
hard time
seen is the
believing that
post.
this is the way in which he surfaces.
Where,
You know?
where do we have the link? We were firing the link all over everywhere. Now I can't find it.
It's from history.
I'm seeing it right now. It's right here. Well, there's a story on MMA fighting, and
Here
there's.
we go. I found it.
Here's the story. James Krause, the embattled fighter and MMA coach who remains on suspension amid an investigation into suspicious betting activity, resurfaced on social media this week to proudly proclaim that he's more than $5 million in debt, but using that to his advantage. Back in 2022, Krause was effectively banned from the UFC after an investigation was launched into a dramatic shift in between lines just before his fighter Derek Minner lost to Shailan Nurdambeki at UFC Vegas 64 following the fight, which prompted several sports books, blah, blah, blah. We know all this. Despite the suspension, by all accounts, there's no word. Okay. I wanted to actually read the thing, but it's not.
I'm in over $5 million
There it
of
is.
debt and don't lose a second of sleep over it. Because of this, I learned a few things along the way. And then he gets into inflation, cash flow, leverage. Once I learned how debt worked, it changed my life. If they keep printing money, then why wouldn't you use debt? If the people running the country are using debt, the largest companies in the world are using debt, why wouldn't you? Lastly, once you understand fractional banking and how it works, you know that most of this is just numbers on a computer screen anyway, but that's for another post.
I'm calling Cap.
One of the many topics to discuss in my real estate coaching group.
I'm calling.
If I can help you in any way, shoot me a DM. This is from James
Who, me?
Krause, certified account.
I'm
Blue
calling
check
Cap.
mark, 29K followers. Blue check mark on Facebook, which actually means something.
I'm calling
29K
Cap.
followars.
I'm calling Cap.
He's talking about
On
all
which
the
part?
houses.
You're calling cap on it being him. You're calling cap
Yes,
on this
yes.
business venture.
No,
You're
no,
calling cap on-
yeah,
what are
okay,
we
sorry.
calling cap
Just to be clear, I have a hard time believing that after a year of silence, he returns like this. I just have a hard time. I have a hard time.
So actually, I don't-
Put
I
on the
don't-
tinfoil.
I don't know. So like he's been posting, but he resurfaced on March 22nd. Before March 22nd, his last post was October 19th, 2022. Check out my breakdown on the new UFC breakdown show I did for Sterling versus Dillashaw this weekend for UFC 280.
Do we think that somebody trying to capitalize on his notoriety has jumped on taking his account?
How could
I don't think so.
I mean, the good news is him surfacing like this would lead one to believe that everything has been resolved.
Or
Maybe that's what he
I don't
wants
know
you to
about
think.
that, but at least that it is not in the same state as it was previously, which would lead me to wonder what is the current state.
Right.
Which leads me right back to where we were 24 hours before this happened, and just going, what the hell happened to
he
James
had
Krause?
he had another post on March 23rd. We're late to the party. Another thing about the real estate courses.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's
Anything?
been posting some houses.
Anything on betting or anything like that?
No, but did you see Joaquin Buckley's video? It was obviously in jest.
Oh
It
no!
was like
Jesus.
he said he saw James Krause with Vicente Luque after the fight, and like,
Oh, I
gave
thought
him a
about
ticket.
us.
It was like no. No. It was
Still
it was a joke about James Krause, basically paying Luque to fix the fight.
Yo, Vicente Luque ain't that guy.
Yeah, I think it was just all a joke. I mean, James Krause has
No, but
had
he even
words
said-
about Buckley in the past.
Oh, has
He said he
Damn, so a lot of
he went
beef.
in trying to lose though. Yeah.
Yo, James Krause. Excuse me, Vicente Luque. Didn't he have like an issue with his brain? This guy ain't
Yes.
trying to lose, in my opinion. Why the hell is
Yeah.
he doing this? If he's got like, he might as well just not do it. Last thing. What about Max Holloway saying everybody keeps on bringing up the fight with Poirier, the 155 fight? It is what it is. I said what I said. No excuses. I just had 6 weeks. This came. This time we had 10 or more weeks. Blah 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 blah. You guys want to see the difference? Tune in April 13th. You're gonna see the difference. Great promo, by the way. Great
That's not
great
even the
promo.
best quote.
Yeah. I'm getting to it. I see the minds being blown. Oh yeah, Max talking like this. Weighing to heavyweight. Francis Ngannou asked him to fight him. Think I care? That's why, bring it on, brother. Think I care? That's why me and you guys are different. That's why a lot of fighters is cut from a different cloth. Even some fighters is worried about certain weights. Why? If you're on the pound for pound list, you should be willing to fight anybody. That's what the pound for pound list is for, right? Ain't that what the pound for pound list is for? I thought the pound for pound list was of not just their weight class. If you're in a weight class, you're number one in your weight class. You're a champion in your weight class. I mean, if you're on the pound for pound list, that means pound for pound where you stand amongst the other pound for pound guys. I'm sick and tired of everybody telling me what I got to think. This is the good stuff. How I do, putting a limit on me. Just because you put a limit on yourself, don't put a limit on others. You guys' limit is the sky. I'm reaching for the star. Other universes, we're not the same. That's one of the best.
Different.
That's one of the best Max promos. Dare I say, I feel like he was talking about this program.
What do you mean? He was talking about this program limiting it? It's putting
No. I feel like they're trying to limit us.
Oh, we are in Max Holloway's shoes in this.
Yeah. We're Max
We're
Holloway.
identifying with Max Holloway.
Okay,
Got
okay.
it.
I thought you
got it.
meant Max Holloway was actually referencing.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Oh,
saying
no.
that.
Me and Max, we go way back. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, Max is the man. I am very excited for next week. I will be riding the Blessed Express.
Yeah.
For sure.
all the way.
I agree.
Choo-choo.
The show
All
is
the
built
way.
different.
Choo-choo. Let's go.
Yeah.
Max all the way. He's looking pretty big on Instagram. He's looking pretty
Looking
big.
jacked.
I mean, we know he's got that chin. It's going to be a war. I can't wait for it. We've said it a million times. That's our most anticipated fight on 300 for sure.
Yeah,
And
me
I'm
too.
riding with the
You
Blessed.
too. What?
No, wait, what?
Out of here, bro.
No, I'm kidding. But I will say that promo got me. That was
All right, we're moving it up the ranks.
It's.
then. Let's
I
go.
think. I see now. I feel something. Come
on, yeah.
By the way, say what you will about pro wrestling, it makes us feel something. When it's done right, it makes us feel something. MMA, when it's done right, feel something. Boxing, feel something. What's the problem with kickboxing? Don't feel anything.
300,
Okay, but that's,
300's got me
that's
feeling
not fair.
something.
That's your own personal preferences.
I'm kidding.
No,
I'm
no,
kidding.
no,
I'm
let's talk
kidding.
about it.
Okay. What's the problem?
Wait, did you know kickboxing's fake?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've
You
seen
can't
those
like
kicks.
it. You're not allowed.
I've seen
It's
those
fake.
kicks. I've seen those kicks.
300's got me feeling something. There's a lot of fighters that I'll be cheering for next week. I'm excited for it.
Top three?
Top 3 fights?
No, top three fighters that you're cheering for.
Max Holloway, Alex Pereira. I don't know who the third one is.
Hey, that 300 promo they played on Saturday.
Oh, that was good.
Had they
Oh,
played that
Jim Miller.
before?
Jim Miller.
Oh, Jim Miller.
Easy. Jim Miller, I think, is one actually.
That promo was so good. This is
It
what I
confused
thought
the
so.
hell out of me in the
The
arena. I'll tell you
reimagined.
that.
Yes, I looked at Rick when they showed Tony and
Tony and
Khabib, and I was
Khabib.
just like, wait, what's going
and
on?
Matt
dude?
Hughes. Oh, that was so good.
Alex Pereira, Michael Johnson.
I just want to feel something, man. I just want to feel like
Anthony Johnson.
Sorry.
Draw on me, rest in peace. Draw on the nostalgia. Draw on the legends of yesteryear. Please, for the love of God, if they're listening to me, bring back some of the legends on April 13th. Have them sit cage side. Have them walk out. You know those walkouts that you do for Donald Trump? Can we get some of those? Can we get one from Mark
Oh, that
Coleman?
actually would be sick.
Okay, but are we
As the
more
main
likely
card
to see
starting.
that maybe in June instead of
No,
300?
this is it.
Oh,
UFC
yeah, I don't think so, but
300.
this is the 31st year. You feel like they would have done it last year?
No, for
30.
300, they didn't do
Yes,
it.
I agree with you. 300.
No better time than now.
That's what I'm saying. I
The
don't.
Hall
think
of Fame
international
thing
fighters-
is always around.
Yeah, but they didn't do it last
300.
year. 30th anniversary.
Do it for Hoist. Do it for Dan Severn. Do it for Don Fry. Do it for Mark Coleman. Wouldn't that be something? Do it for Mark Coleman. Do it for Matt Hughes. Do it for, okay, probably not for Randy Couture and Frank Shamrock, yada, yada, but do it for Chuck Liddell. Do it for Tito Ortiz. Do it for BJ Penn. How great would it be if there's just 10 minutes? These are the legends of yesterday. I still maintain they should have done a top 30. It's only 30 slots. The NBA is at 75 already, right?
Oh, like the 30
It'd be
fighters.
so great. Bring back Ronda. Bring them all back. Come on.
Like it might happen in June, if any time, because of the Hall of Fame thing.
300.
That's when it'll be around. I know, but what does 300 signify?
Oh, come on.
300. It's a big deal.
Yeah, 300 is a big
It's a big deal, but it's not like there's no history to tied to it. I think the Hall of Fame is
Yeah,
the
but
time to do
it's
that.
the fact that it's the 300th numbered event, and they're making a big deal of it. So
I'm for it.
really make a big deal of it.
I'm in. I would take it.
I think it says on the poster, it's like history made. And like that whole promo was about how all the fighters
so
are
good.
That poster,
posters are
I don't even
tied
know
with
what's
each
in the
other.
poster. There's
Well,
nothing in the
there's
poster.
some small text on the bottom that's just like history something. I don't know. I haven't really looked at the poster that much. But that promo was like all the fighters are
good.
tied through time and history.
Oh, so good. Gave me chills.
Yada, yada. It was great. It was great.
As was today's show. Yes.
One last thing, just
Okay.
like the Baba O'Reilly.
Yeah.
Got to witness it. I
finally got to
missed
see
it
it.
last time. Yeah, I got to witness it.
It's actually Teenage Wasteland. It's the-
Teenage Wasteland. Sorry. Yeah. Frank was reaching for the mic to correct me as well. Sorry.
he was like,
I think I built it up in my head too much.
No.
I think I built it up in my head too much.
Didn't enjoy it.
I enjoyed it, but I was like, people were like, you're gonna run through a wall. You're gonna be 10 out of 10. Like you're gonna be ready to rip your shirt off. I was like, oh, that was pretty good.
I will say, it depends on the fights that you've witnessed, right? If all of a sudden the prelims like have you frothing at the mouth, and all of a sudden you can't contain yourself, and then it kicks in, and then you know that 5 fights on top of that are going to be crazy pay-per-view atmosphere. You're sitting at UFC 300. That hits right before you know it's about to go off. Different feeling, you know.
Mhm.
It's kind of situational dependent.
One day we'll experience it.
You know, have we talked about who first cut that? We've talked about this probably 1,000 times.
Did we? This is not ringing a bell.
Really?
I have no idea.
Who did the first Bubba O'Reilly? We've 1,000% talked
It's
about
Teenage Wasteland, but yeah.
Yes.
No, it is Baba O'Reilly. Do not let him get in your head.
I thought it was Teenage Wasteland.
Come on, Frank, lighten up. We haven't talked about this in the history of the program. The original Bob O'Reilly video was cut by current UFC matchmaker Sean Shelby just for fun. You know this, Rick, right?
Now it's ringing a bell.
Just for
It
fun.
didn't at
He
first.
just put it together for fun, early days, and then just showed it to either Dana or Lorenzo. I don't know exactly who, and then it just kind of evolved from there. But it's Sean Shelby who made it.
Incredible.
Sounds like
I learned this weekend as well as we continue down this UFC history that Bruce and Michael Buffer didn't meet until like 1989, and they're only half brothers. I never knew any of this.
Yep.
yeah, because they were talking about it. They were like, "Oh, do you think he influenced?" And I was like, "Sorry to break it to you, like independent, you know,
I'm a casual.
happen separately."
No, you're learning.
The Bruce Buffer, I mean, that you talk about energy and electricity. When he's doing the main event thing and the whole crowd is like saying it's time along with him, that's that gives you chills. I mean, that is incredible. Yeah, there it is.
Let's not do that.
Did you get a picture with mommy by any chance? I didn't get the pic.
No,
She kind of
she
stormed out of here.
yeah,
It
wasn't really in a picture taking.
not the right time.
I actually didn't even see her leave. I went out there and the people were just like, yeah, she's gone.
Is Becky banned from the studio after that?
I mean, you and Rhea both gave permission, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
say
All right,
no.
fair enough.
I don't.
You should have
think
seen
that's
her, bro,
fair.
in the back. Frank was like, "Could I get a 5 count?" She just stared at him, and then he was like,
Fuck
Becky, can I
you
please
and
get
your
a
5 count.
And she was like, "Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got the."
And then just
pass
came right
them
in.
on."
I thought it was gonna take like, a minute there. She just came freaking.
No, I'm telling you, she was leading me to the studio. She was like storming, and then I opened the door and like tried to open the door. She just ripped it open, walked in. And I tried to bring the chair up. The chair was flying. Then I take a couple steps back. Then the security's running in. I didn't even know there was security here. It was wild.
Yeah. What a day,
Don't
guys.
talk about our kids.
Yeah, seriously. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it very much. Hey, if you like this video, give us the old thumbs up. Subscribe as well. You could get many more of these videos on the channel. So please do that. We would love you forever if you did so.